Waiting on you, buddy. Just waiting on you.
I can never tell if I'm live or not.
Go ahead, brother.
All right. It doesn't say I'm live yet. All
you
right.
are.
It's College Sportscast. Welcome in. I got the two Johns with me. We are here to do the Big Fuss Show.
Hook 'em.
Now it's telling me I'm live.
Can I please have your attention?
There's all a commotion around here.
What are you talking about?
Let them yap at you.
It's actually very exciting.
All right. I think I can hear you guys, so maybe you can hear me. Well,
Your mic's muted. Unmute your mic. It shows his mic's muted on the side.
Yep. He is muted, but he just doesn't know it. God. Well, John, how's it been going?
It's been going good, man.
We're going to wait on Brad to actually unmute himself. But
Unmute himself.
yeah, I can't unmute it for him, but that's great. This is a great start to the show.
how about now?
Yeah.
Yeah,
When
you need to
that's
unmute
fine.
yourself when you do that.
I can't unmute myself. It's a video that mutes me.
Oh,
So I have to wait for it to actually play through.
well, we're just talking over it then because we don't see a video.
We don't hear it
Well,
or see it.
Okay. Well, it's a video that did y'all not see the video at all?
Yeah.
Oh, we did, but then you see it, I guess, for a whole new two minutes.
I think it
beyond
plays twice for me every
Well,
time
that's-
I got y'all on. I don't know why.
that. Well, that's stupid.
I don't know. Anyways, guys, we are here to do our Big Fuss Show, and we are College Sportscast. This is week 3 of the college football season. We are through 2 weeks of the season. We are part of the Fanboys, and you can see our sponsor up there is Pepsi tonight, and for the Fanboys, and we are also featured on Let's Talk Sports. We are featured on Sideline Sports, the Real Fresh channel on Sundays, WSBN TV channel 30. How you can find that is through your Roku, Apple, or Fire TV. Download the BoxCast app. Look for World Sports Broadcasting Network, and once you find them, you can find us on World Sports Broadcasting Network on your Roku, Apple, or Fire TV channel 30. All right, man. So let's get to some news. I'll get this up down here. Today, one of the biggest news, and I don't know, John Roberts, if you know this guy all that well, but Roy Kidd passed away today. And he was a very long time EKU college football coach and won 2 national championships. Now, this was one Division IIA that he done all this on. But he won 314 games in his career. I believe he coached 38 seasons. 37 of them were winning seasons.
You want to know a crazy story? the actual quarterback that played on the 1982 team, his wife is my doctor.
Okay.
That's pretty wild, isn't it?
Well, so Roy Kidd, Roy Kidd was a two-sport star, and he went to EKU. But however, there is a story about Roy Kidd. So he was from Eastern Kentucky. I believe he was from the Corbin area. I believe, John, is that right, Hammonds?
I think.
I believe, but he was from Kentucky, and he was recruited by Paul Bear Bryant, who was at Kentucky at the time. And he wanted to go to UK, but he asked Paul Bear Bryant if he could play two sports. The other sport, not being basketball, surprisingly, he was a star baseball player. And he asked Paul Bear Bryant if he could play on the baseball team as well as play on the football team. And Paul Bear Bryant told him no, that he wouldn't let him play both sports, that if he was going to come to Kentucky, he was going to have to focus on football. And Roy Kidd said, you know what? Eastern said I could do both, and he went to Eastern. And was a two-sport star there at Eastern. And he started coaching. He was the head coach in 1964 and coached till 2002. He won 314 games, 2 national titles. I'll say this about him as well. He had 55 NCAA All-Americans. Mm-hmm. And from Eastern Kentucky University, a little 1AA school, he had 41 NFL players over his career that played at Eastern Kentucky. Over 200 OVC All-Americans, first-team All-Americans for the OVC, and over 55 for the NCAA All-Americans. And to coach at Eastern Kentucky and have 41 NFL players and 314 wins. He was 91. He actually went into hospice care about 3 or 4 days before Kentucky just played EKU. He went into hospice care about 3 or 4 days before the game this past week, and he died early this morning. So I just want to give a shout out to Coach Roy Kidd. I know, John Roberts, you probably don't know much about him, would be my guess.
Nope, not really. I'm sorry.
Yeah. I mean,
I apologize.
I figured you didn't. You're down in Alabama, and it's a small school here in Kentucky. Like I said, it's not like FBS, Division I. It was Division I 2A, so is what it was.
Right.
Eastern Kentucky, by the way, because of him, is actually second in all-time wins in the Division IIA conference, FCS, which is now FCS. But
gotcha.
I wanted to give him a shout out, and he was a great coach. He was a great human being. He was true to EKU his entire life. So, but I did want to tell that story about Paul Bear Bryant and recruiting at Kentucky. He was a 4-year letterman in 2 sports and was a star player at both, in both sports. So, all right, we'll move on to our next topic. I just wanted to give him a shout out there. Our next topic, John and I Roberts kind of talked about this a little bit on Sunday. Hammonds wasn't around. We went through the AP top 25, but the Pac-12 has 8 top 25 teams in the AP poll this week. And Hammonds, I'll throw it to you to kind of talk about that to start with, because Roberts and I kind of talked about it on Sunday a little bit.
I mean, I think right now it's probably the deepest conference in football right now, I think they got the best quarterback play in the conference. It's impressive what they're doing this year, especially after a bunch of them are leaving out to new conferences next year. So it's a pretty big deal for that conference, especially where they're at. So
there's 12 teams, 8 of them are in the top 25, and 10 of them are leaving. But man, I have been hyping them up. I remember in some of the chat rooms that we're in and stuff, I've been telling people that they would have at least 5, if not 6, in the preseason top 25, and people told me I was crazy. Well, guess what? They had 5, and they had a 6th and 7th that was close, and now they have 8 after 2 weeks. So you got to give them. They have great quarterback play that's going on right now. They have 6 3,000-yard passers returning in the conference. They had 8 3,000-yard passers last year, and I wouldn't be surprised to see that again last year. It actually tied a record for 3,000-yard passers last year.
Sounds like a lot of defense played in that conference. They had some great DB play. Yes.
So Johnny Sports is with us, and he's got a little Pac-12 thing there. Did that come up for you guys?
Yeah, it is right here.
There it is. All right. Talking about giving them some love on their way out. Basically.
There you go. Don't let the door hit you on the way out.
on your way out, actually.
Yeah, that's right. Don't let the door hit you. Oregon State and Washington State, you guys are okay. You're the real deal because you're actually sticking around in this conference, whatever is to be of this conference. So to me, that they're the only ones in the Pac-12. It's just Oregon State and it's Washington State. They
actually play in a couple of weeks.
Well, then that right there is for the conference championship.
Yeah, I think they play in a couple of weeks, actually.
Yeah, you find the 2 most remote places in all of college football.
Yeah. Well, they play good football at both places. They're both ranked right now. So Washington State's coming off an impressive win against 19th ranked Wisconsin, and Oregon State has got DJ Yuga, whatever his name is, and from Clemson.
Why can't you say his name?
I can't say his name.
What's his last name?
I have no idea.
Oh my God.
It's Tua. That's and DJ. That's what I say.
There you go. Now say DJ's last name.
I can't say DJ's last name.
Uiagalelei. Come on.
How do you say it? Like Uiagalelei? I mean, how do you say that? I can't say that.
Like ooh. Yeah, Uiagalelei.
No,
that is not it. Man, you were bad at this.
Okay, I thought we were singing that old song one time.
No. We're not doing that.
Okay, all right, guys. I'll get back on track.
You do you.
All right, but the Pac-12 is for real this year. I actually have been saying that I think they will get into the college football playoff. I actually think that one of those teams will make the college football playoff.
They're going to survive that long? They're going to survive that long?
Yep,
You think they're going to be riding the wave all the way to the end of the season?
I do. I think
that
of
wave
those
crashes.
I think one of those teams will survive and make the college football playoff on their way out. I really do. So my next topic is Central Florida, UCF. UCF has lost their QB Plumlee for a few weeks. He's out. So just a news topic. Hammonds, I know you've been kind of big on UCF and their start. So what do you think about, him being out for at least 2, if not 3 weeks? They said 2 to 3 weeks.
I think it hurts them in a way, I mean, they face a lot of questions, especially at quarterback play. Now they're going to have to turn to Timmy McClain for the next several games. He appeared as a true freshman in 12 games for South Florida. So this will be his first start since he faced UCF in the season finale in 2021 at the Bounce House. Which, UCF is very fortunate because he actually put his name in the transfer portal earlier. If he had not come back, UCF would have been really hurting for a quarterback. So I think losing Plumlee's going to hurt him. I mean, going forward, it's not the best of news, to be honest.
Well, they start Big 12 play next week, and if he's going to be out for if he's going to be out for, say, 2 more weeks beyond that and be out the first 2 Big 12 games, that's going to really hurt him.
The big thing about Timmy McClain, though, he's a dual threat. So, and he's very accurate down the field. He done really good. The quarterback, I think it's the offensive coordinator, used to be at Kentucky, Darren Henshaw, quarterback coach, I think.
Yeah.
He said that, he's ready to get in there and do what he needs to do to win games for him. I just think they're going to miss that leadership from Plumlee.
All right, John Roberts, what you got on this? Just a little news story that come out today. So,
how's his baseball stock? I mean, look, losing the starter is never good, even if it's for a few weeks or whatever it is. So, I mean, look, I think that ultimately, it's got to be next man up, and that is Timmy McClain this week, redshirt sophomore transfer, and he came in from South Florida, right? So, I mean, I don't know a whole lot about him. We'll find out this week.
Oh, I don't know a lot about the backup. I can tell you that for sure.
Yeah,
so,
yeah.
Just a news story.
Always the fans' favorite,
I just know what was being told in the spring. He had where he was in the portal, and then he come back, and he played for USF. Was it 2021? I don't know a whole lot about him, but I know that he's had some snaps under center though, so they're not just throwing a guy in there that ain't never played a down of football. You know what I'm saying?
Right. All right. So my next topic is Kentucky offensive coordinator Liam Cohen was released from the hospital today. On Sunday, he had what they are calling a medical episode, and he was released from the hospital this morning. And he did put out a tweet saying that he was going to be good and that he would see everybody at Kroger Field on Saturday. Hammonds, you're in Kentucky. You're here. I'm sure you followed this story. What have you heard? What do you know about anything, like what actually happened? They've kind of kept this under wraps.
Yeah, it's been pretty much under wraps. They really haven't given any details. They just said it was a medical episode, and they put him in the hospital overnight, and I think he got released Monday morning, and then he come out with that statement, and pretty much it was just I
think he was released this morning, Tuesday.
It was released this morning.
Yeah,
and it was just a statement saying that he was thankful for the prayers and everybody.
It was on Twitter.
So I don't really know much of the details, to be honest with you, and it ain't our place to really know to what's going on. So
no, they've tried to keep it quiet. I just
it's basically just a quiet mouse thing.
I mean, Stoops yesterday almost seemed to get kind of emotional. He was talking about how it was a tough day, tough 24 hours. at the Monday press conference yesterday. So it's good to see. He was talking about the response and the medical team that come in and, and that they had helped out. And he's talking about all that. He's kind of comparing that to 9/11 and doing a little talking about the response, the quick response and this response teams and stuff. But so
there's not really a lot to go through. I mean, it's just one of those deals where he had a health issue and,
I honestly, I mean, the key thing to me is in his statement, he said that I'll see you guys at Kroger Field on Saturday. So, I mean, as a fan, it makes you believe that, he'll be there coaching on Saturday, that he can't wait to be there on Saturday.
Yeah.
Roberts.
Yeah. I mean, look, anytime you got any sort of medical issue, I mean, it's always, cause for concern. So everybody's got to just kind of take a step back with what happened. But I mean, I don't think it's going to be, I mean, he's acting like as if it's, not a big deal. But I mean, he says, I'll see you at Kroger Field. And I guess everybody will see him at Kroger Field.
That's the plan. All right, guys, it is time for our pick six. All right. Am I back?
Yes, you are.
All right. Can you hear me? All right. So for our first pick six, guys, the first topic for tonight is Big 12 Power 6 rankings. We're going to do a couple of conferences tonight.
I guess I can go first if you want me to.
All right. And the first one we're going to do is Big 12. And I want to know your top six, your Power 6 rankings.
My top six. I'm going to go number one's Texas, especially with the win over Alabama Saturday night. Two would probably have to be it still have to be Oklahoma, you would think. Given the history, within the conference. Three would be Kansas State. And then beyond that, it's a crapshoot.
That's exactly what I was thinking. I had the exact same three, and I went, it's 1, 2, 3, and then who cares? Everybody else.
and there's everybody else. Well,
yes.
Basically, you got Kansas. I put Kansas at the 4 spot. 5 would probably be.
I mean, everybody else is lost.
Oklahoma State, maybe.
Maybe.
And then you got 6 would probably be Cincinnati.
There you go.
So.
Yeah, I'm not going to really stray too far away from that. I'd actually written down 1, 2, and 3 exactly the way that he had it, and then after that, I was kind of really fishing hard for what would be the next 3. So I'm going to go with his second 3. But I agree with the first 3. You got to have Texas, Oklahoma, and then K-State as being 1, 2, and 3 right there in the power rankings for the Big 12. So.
Oh, yeah, man, I fully agree. That's the top 3 is Texas.
Yeah.
Texas is clearly number 1.
Yeah.
I think Oklahoma and Kansas State are 1 or 2A and 2B, right now, 2 games in. You've got Kansas and UCF in there that have at least won their games.
Right.
So you got to have those 2. And then,
because TCU, who represented in the national, made it to the national championship game. They've lost a game. Texas Tech has lost a game.
2 games.
Yeah, they've lost 2 games.
2 games. Baylor's lost 2 games.
I believe those Texas Tech games that they lost were two close games
Yeah.
because you had,
Yeah.
they're kind of heartbreakers, you know.
Baylor's
they
also
lost.
lost 2 games.
That's right. Now it's Baylor losing one to Texas State and then losing one to, I believe, Utah. So,
Yeah.
I mean, so, and those are typically teams that are kind of in that next tier, you know, as far as like Baylor being, you know, fairly
So
decent. and stuff like
Oklahoma
that, and it
State hasn't lost yet, I don't think. And
Right.
how about Cincinnati, guys? Cincinnati's looked halfway decent.
right.
2 weeks in a row. So, you know, neither one of you mentioned them. Cincinnati beat Pittsburgh
No,
at
Cincinnati
Pittsburgh.
was mentioned in the list. It was in the list.
And then you go down the thing. You got BYU and UCF. Like beyond the 1 and 3, it's nothing but a crapshoot in the Big 12.
Yeah.
Yep.
And it's basically Texas, and then it's everybody else.
Well, that was kind of my take on the preseason rankings and the preseason preview show that we did too.
And I will say this: I'm not declaring Texas is back for everybody wanting to know, but I will say this: Texas is on the up and coming. They're not the Texas that is the punching bag that they once was. Because, and I know people are going to say, well,
I don't. I'm just doing it to mess with John.
They beat a really horrible defense of Alabama, but it's still Alabama.
Absolutely.
You know, you don't go into
and it's at Tuscaloosa, so you know,
not many teams go in there to Tuscaloosa and win. And you know, that was the first non-conference loss for Alabama at home since they lost to UNL Monroe. And guess what? That was in Saban's first year,
2007.
That's even more impressive. So
since November of 2007.
Yep.
So you know, give Texas their props.
Oh, absolutely. I got more. We got more on them for this show. So, I mean, with their win. All right. So that was a Big 12. The SEC has shown some signs of struggle in some of these big games this year for the first time in a very, very long time. And we're all SEC guys. So what is your SEC Power 6 rankings for our Pick 6 segment here?
Oh, goodness.
After 2 weeks. It's curious to me. I mean, where does LSU and Alabama fall in this ranking after taking losses?
I'm not so
who
sure.
Would be in your top 6? I listen, you got to give me something. We're all SEC guys. So
SEC is very average right now, to be honest.
It's been a rough 2 weeks to open this season, if you ask me. The SEC is 1-4 versus ranked teams, and also 1-4 versus the ACC. They lost to the Big 12 in Texas. On top of that, so you know, let's all just say it. Number one right now, because they're ranked 1 and they're the 2-time champs. Number 1 has got to be Georgia.
Yeah.
I mean, your rankings, you got to have Georgia number 1. After that, it gets a little interesting. Who do you have for number 2?
Guess you'd have to go Ole Miss.
Do you have to?
Well, you don't have to.
Go for it. Keep going.
Ole Miss. Guess you would have to put Tennessee next. I'm guessing. And then from there, you probably put LSU. I know people's going to think that I should do this, but I'm going to. What about Auburn at 6? I mean,
no,
they haven't impressed lately, but their defense is really, really solid. I'm just saying there's not a lot of great teams in the SEC this year,
Yep.
except for maybe a couple or three.
Okay, that's pretty telling, Hammonds. If you're saying to me that you think the Auburn showing that they have had so far is in the top 6 of the SEC.
That's what I'm saying. It's not been impressive.
Because they barely escaped with a win 14-10.
Well, let's look at
On the
Kentucky.
road across the country, playing a
Kentucky,
Power
But
5
still,
school.
they barely escaped a win against a team
On
that
the
was
road
4-12
across
last
the
year.
country, playing
I
a
will
Power
say this.
5 school.
If you put Kentucky
Come
there,
on.
then does that win against Eastern Kentucky resolute? I mean, they had to really basically come alive in the second
I'm going to be
quarter.
honest with you, Hammonds. If I'm picking my top 6 right now as we speak, I tend to think Kentucky would be in that. I really do.
No.
I would agree with you, but the Eastern Kentucky showing kind of dampened that. That's just my opinion. I'm still high on it. I'm not saying that Kentucky can't be. Kentucky's still going to be a good team. But
First of all, if you guys have Alabama outside of your top 6 because they lost at home to this Texas team, y'all are crazy. Alabama is definitely still inside the top 3 of the SEC, even after the loss.
I haven't given my list.
All right. I know. Go for it.
All right. Georgia,
Yep.
Tennessee, Alabama.
let me just do this. I'll put
Hang
Ole
on.
Miss 1.
Hang on. Roberts is giving his.
Oh, I didn't know. My bad.
For those of you who missed it, Georgia, Tennessee, Alabama, Ole Miss, LSU, Arkansas.
Okay. I don't agree with it. So I think you're out of bounds on it myself. Tennessee looked like crap last week against Austin Peay. You're talking about Kentucky's Eastern Kentucky win. I thought that Tennessee looked worse than Kentucky did.
Has Kentucky beaten a Power 5 school?
No.
Tennessee has. It's a really crappy one, but they have.
One in the country. The worst damn one in the country. I mean, come on. Does that count?
Okay, I'll give you mine. 1 has to be Georgia. 2 would have to be Ole Miss. I mean, after what they did at Tulane.
I agree with you on that, actually. I would put Ole Miss number 2 right
3 would be Tennessee. I'm still kind of iffy on Tennessee. I mean, yeah, they did beat Virginia, but they looked sluggish against Austin Peay. They didn't look the best, I don't think. They're going to have to really show me some things here in a couple of weeks, especially with Joe Milton. 4 would be Alabama, I'm guessing.
I don't know. It's your list.
Biggest thing with Alabama, they struggled Saturday with penalties and turnovers. That was the biggest thing with Alabama Saturday. You can't do that.
Discipline. They struggle with discipline.
It was the same thing as it was last year, I think.
now. I agree with that.
It's going to have to get better. 5 would be –
Say it. You want to.
I do want to say it because I'm gonna go Auburn. I know everybody's probably thinking,
Even I won't put them in the top 6.
everybody's thinking, well, they only beat UMass and Cal, but if you look at the rest of the SEC, who you really going to put in there? Texas A&M, you ain't going to put it. They
No, we're not putting Texas A&M in there.
Texas A&M, they had 3 turnovers, and I think they gave up a kickoff return for a touchdown. They was just
They doubled their offensive performance from last year, but they have also tripled their defensive deficit from last
right.
year.
Yeah, absolutely. we'll get to a little bit more of them here in a few, but so you got 5. Who's number 6? So you can finish this, so we can move on to the next one.
I guess we'll put Kentucky.
So you have LSU outside of the top 6.
I just think LSU. They didn't impress me against Florida State. Beating Grambling ain't going to get me there. You're going to have to.
Well, I get you. I'm okay. I got you. All right. So it's Georgia, Ole Miss, Alabama. All right. That's my top 3.
You go put Georgia at number 1. They scored 0 points against Ball State in the first quarter. Come on.
Until somebody beats
Georgia, Ole Miss, Alabama, and then I've got Tennessee, then I've got LSU, and then I've got Kentucky. That's my 6.
You guys are a bunch of homers here.
Preseason. Until somebody beats Georgia, it's still Georgia.
That's my 6. All right. We're going to move on to our no-fly zone.
Yeah, because we're getting real antsy in this little topic.
We're going to move on.
I know I'm gonna get blasted for picking Auburn, but that's okay. So
here is
no, you're going to get blasted for picking Kentucky.
Nah, Kentucky. I have them ranked.
That's not going to fly here.
Oh, jeez.
Brad, the silence is not going to fly. You're hitting the no-fly zone here.
I have to wait till my mic comes back, guys.
Yeah.
All right. So
I'll take this one first.
So this is our no-fly zone. This is the first no-fly zone. The way this works is I ask a question, and they tell me if they think it should fly or not fly. No fly. So our first topic, if I can get it to come up, do y'all have it on the screen?
Yes.
Yeah, it's there.
All right. It's being slow for me. Texas A&M has been all about recruiting, and Colorado has been all about coaching.
Yeah,
right?
but
as far as this first 2 seasons. Hang on. As far as this season with Dion, so is coaching more important than recruiting to be great in college football?
Fly. That's a fly for me.
Just because if you got a motivator and a coach like Dion is, whether you're bringing in 2- and 3-star transfers, which he did a whole lot, he did bring in a few star players, but most of
recruiting.
But most of his stuff that he brought in is not 4- and 5-star kids. Not in this one, this first year.
But he will be.
Travis Hunter. What is he?
What did I just say, Roberts? I said he brought in a few, but it's most of the kids are.
I'll take this one. I think it's a fly. I think coaching is more important than recruiting to me. I mean, you look at what Texas A&M has done, bringing in 4- and 5-star guys. If you can't coach them up and develop them, you're just wasting your time, I think. I think coaching has a lot to do with it. You look at Deion Sanders, his first year, and he's already got him ranked in the top 25. It's hard to do now, folks, with a whole new roster and players that he has. that's my take on it. I think recruiting helps, but I think you got to have some coaching to back that up.
Okay, I want you to listen to what you just said. He is doing it in the first year, and I know it's with a whole new roster. Let's just say that. It's a whole new roster, which means he recruited an entirely new team. He didn't take Colorado. He took Colorado 2.0. Colorado 2.0 is all his guys. He didn't have to wait till year 2 to get his guys. He didn't have to wait till year 3 for his team. This is his team. He recruited this team.
Okay. And
I'm just saying that I think that you're trying to have a question for Texas A&M because of the fact that they have all this recruiting, but they haven't done anything with it. But what you need to do is have an opposing thing where there's a team that has not that many recruits on it with a good coach. You put a guy that was a good coach who recruited an entire roster in one season.
And most of that recruiting is 3-star, 2 and 3-star guys.
They're all brand new. He kicked out the old team. He didn't take the whole team.
It doesn't matter.
Yes, it does.
No, it doesn't.
You're acting like
if you replace 1-star guys with 2-star guys or 2-star guys with 3-star guys, does it really make that much of a difference?
What you need to look at is Deion recruited. It's his guys. He is a motivational speaker and he's a great coach. Okay. But the question is flawed. The question needs to be a different circumstance.
I don't agree with that. I don't agree with what
this is why they call it the Big Fuss Show.
Exactly. This is why I'm calling it the Big Fuss Show.
Here you go. Here's one with no hardly any stars and whatnot. Go look at Kirk Ferentz or something like that, or a Matt Rule when he had Baylor. But even then, he was recruiting. So
my point in this question is somebody who is a flat, great coach who is a motivator. And Deion is exactly what I'm talking about.
But it's not like he's taking over. It's not like his roster is a bunch of.
You're trying to change the whole point of the question. The point is a coach and a motivator that can come in and not have 5-star kids all over the field and still be able to motivate and win.
What's his son?
What do you mean? I don't think he was a 5-star kid coming out.
No, I don't think he was a big time prospect.
He wasn't coming out. He is now, but he wasn't coming out.
The biggest issue, I'm going to say this with Jimbo, to me, he does not develop quarterbacks well, and I say that in coming back on this, Connor Weigman, the quarterback this year, seems like he's upped it a little bit. But I'm going to say this, too. It took an offensive coordinator for that to happen. It took Bobby Petrino to come in there and make things click offensively. Is that on the coach? Is that, to me, that's the coach.
Yeah, I mean, you have that and you have, even – like Clemson bringing in an offensive coordinator, but you're still running the same offense.
Yep.
Yeah, I tell people, Bo makes a good point down here. It says Kentucky basketball tells you that coaching is more important. Cal is a good recruiter. If you can recruit all the 5-stars you want, but if they don't play together and have no chemistry with one another, it's going to be a dud.
So, in my opinion, coaching absolutely outdoes recruiting. Any day, anytime, any day of the week, it's an absolute lie.
I used to not think like that, though. I used to think recruiting, when you were going recruiting battles, that you was doing something. But the more you look into it, coaching has a lot to do with it. And
the best ones can do both. The best ones can recruit top and coach top. and motivate. And the best ones can do both.
I want you and John to fight again. I was liking that.
Best ones take the egos and set them aside.
I like that little debate there. So
yeah, the debate that
That's
had
why
nothing
I'm
to do
calling it the Big Fuss Show. That's why I'm calling it the Big Fuss Show. I want that on this show. I think it'll bring people's attention, and we'll do some stuff with it. So the next one, our next topic is Texas' big win over Alabama in Tuscaloosa. And my question to you guys is does that mean Texas is now ready for the SEC? Are you fly or no fly? Is Texas ready for the SEC?
I'm going to tell you why Texas is ready. Well, I wouldn't say they're ready yet, but I'll tell you what the biggest difference was for them than what Alabama's got. And that's the fact that Texas has guys, playmakers at quarterback and at wide receiver. Alabama is still in the process of getting that to go at their quarterback and wide receiver play.
John, I'm going to tell you what I thought the biggest difference in that game was. It was defensive line for Texas versus Oklahoma or versus Alabama's offensive line. That was the biggest difference.
It starts up front. I agree with you.
Do you
Alabama,
think that do you think that Sark has Texas ready to come into the SEC? Was that a telltale sign, a telltale win that says Texas is ready for the SEC?
I think it is. I think Texas is ready. I think that they're more than prepared. And I'm going to go as far as saying this. If Alabama doesn't go back to getting those top linemen and those secondary guys.
They have some really big linemen right now. They got pushed around.
They got pushed around really, really. It's not the Alabama of old. And if Alabama does not get it together.
They have bigger offensive linemen on average than NFL teams.
I question this dynasty, whether it ends, because I think we're nearing. I think we're nearing the end. I really do. And there's rumors going around today that Saban might retire at the end of the year. That's what's going on.
I don't believe none of that. I ain't going to get into that right now, but it's too early in the season.
I don't
All
either,
right, John Roberts, is Texas – was that a telltale sign? Is Texas now ready for the SEC?
I mean, that game itself is not going to be like, this is the thing that makes Texas ready for the SEC. No, look, they have a coach that's coached in the SEC. He was an offensive coordinator in the SEC. He understands what the SEC is about. Texas knows what the SEC is about. Oklahoma does too. So, like, does that mean that they were, does one game make you ready? No. I mean, look, Texas beat Georgia in the Sugar Bowl a couple of years ago. Were they ready?
But I think Sark is
the answer at that point was no. But right now, look, I think they have a talented team. I think their team is going to be successful within the SEC. Okay, I think they're not like a team where one. Have a one-game schedule. I mean, yes, they probably do technically have like a one-game schedule once that you get into conference play with in the Big 12 just because. But I think that they are built well enough and equipped well enough to have success in the SEC. But I don't think it was just because of the win right there. I think that's going to help them because I think that will help with recruiting in the state of Texas so that they can be in the future.
I agree with you. I'm going to say that this is a no-fly for even myself. I'm going to say this is a no-fly. And the reason why I say that is not this Texas team. I really think this Texas team is talented. I foresee them having a really special year. I think the Big 12 is for the taking. Whether or not they can, make the college football playoff is yet to be seen. They would pretty much need to run the table. I just don't think that this Big 12 is going to be powerful enough to lose a game or two.
I'll say this. On that field Saturday night, though, Texas roster was completely better, more dynamite than Alabama's roster. And
that's what I was trying to say. This Texas team is good enough, okay? But I'm still not on board. This one game, I'm still not on board that they can take that and be this every year in the SEC, and go into places like at Alabama and knock people off. I'm just, so
they just did that.
I just said every year.
They literally just did it. They almost did it at their own. They almost did it last year too.
And I just said I'm not ready to anoint them that they can do that every year.
That's 2 years in a row.
I mean, that's what I just said, Roberts.
No, you said that you don't think they could do it every year. They did it 2 years in a row against what should be the flagship.
They did not win last year.
Okay, they lost by 1.
Okay, but they did not win last year. 1
point. They hung with them.
All right, my next one's Travis Hunter. Travis Hunter has played 274 snaps in 2 games.
I thought the clock rule was to keep snaps from happening.
274 snaps in 2 games, okay? Not only is he doing offense and defense, he has like 9 or 10 snaps on special teams as well, okay? Is there any way in the world he can keep this pace up for the whole season? To have that many snaps? Are you fly or no fly on that? Kentucky offensively has played 2 games and only has 112 snaps offensively in 2 games. He's played 274 snaps in 2 games.
I think it's possible. But against some of these like better teams that he's going to go up against, like Oregon and USC and some of these others.
Not this week.
No, USC, he's not that is not a better team. Okay. When he's on offense, he's playing against their weakest side of the ball. Okay. And then he doesn't play like how many is he plays all the defensive snaps, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So his hardest side of the ball will be the defense. Will be when he's playing defense, because when he plays offense, he could just run and do whatever the heck he wants in that game against USC.
The thing is, though, with going forward, I get he played those snaps against Nebraska, TCU. And he's probably going to do the same with Colorado State this coming week. But against some of these better teams, like I said, Oregon and USC, and I don't even know if they play Utah this year. Do they play Utah?
Washington. I'm not sure.
I'm not real sure
can't
of
remember
their schedule. But against some of these better teams, he's going to have some extra help, because he ain't going to be able to do it all by himself against some of these really good teams like Oregon, USC, Utah, yada yada yada. The rest of those guys, you know what I'm saying?
So you're no fly that he won't be able to keep up?
I don't think he can. It's hard to do. You've seen Charles Woodson. When he played at Michigan, he did the same and won a Heisman, but
he didn't play that many snaps.
He didn't play that many snaps.
That's a lot. I have never seen anybody play that many snaps before.
All right, here you go. Here's Colorado's schedule, the remaining schedule. All right.
They play Colorado State, they play Oregon, they play USC. I know their next 3.
That's their next 3. Then after that, it's Arizona State, Stanford, which you ought to be able to do that against both of them.
Yeah.
UCLA, which is a ranked team right now,
Yeah.
Oregon State, which is a ranked team
Ranked
right
team.
now.
And a good
Right
team.
now.
They're a
Yes.
good team.
Arizona, Washington State, another ranked team currently,
Yeah.
and they end the year at Utah.
So they got Oregon State, Washington State, Utah, Oregon, and USC.
Yeah, they're about to have a 2-game stretch here where they have Oregon and USC, right? And then he'll have UCLA and Oregon State back to back.
And I didn't.
And then he'll have
UCLA,
Washington.
so that's
He'll have
six.
Washington State and Utah back to back.
The question is, do you think that he can keep that pace up and play that many snaps in that many games?
I'm gonna go no fly. It's hard. It's tough. You get tired. Things,
I'm trying to get Roberts to give me an answer, but he won't give me an answer.
I'm waiting for John to give an answer first.
I think he can
Once he
do
gets
it.
an answer, I'll give mine.
I think he can do it, but I think it's going to eventually. You get wore down by doing that every single game, though. I mean, and I think his stamina is pretty good right now, but I think against, like I said, some of these good teams, he's going to have to get some help to with some of those receptions and yardage, and just going to have to have some help. That's just my take on it.
All right,
Robert.
I'm going to use your words against you. Deion Sanders is the greatest motivational speaker and coach out there, so that he will play all of those snaps on both sides of the ball, and he will do it, keep up the pace throughout the season, because what coaching.
Hey, listen.
I'm using your words
I fully
against
agree.
you.
As far as the motivation and everything, it'll be there. But I think playing many snaps.
99% mental.
You gotta let me finish. I think playing that many snaps and having that kind of wear and tear on your body is going to hurt him down the road. He will not be able to hold up the entire season.
It's going to catch up to him, yeah.
I don't think he'll be able to hold up physically the entire season.
But I will say this. It gives me Deion Sanders vibes, though, the way he plays. Just both sides of the ball, the way he –
That's all I'm going to say about it. Is I just don't think that physically that he could keep up with that pace. There's just no way. I just don't see it.
You got a guy that knows how to do it, coaching him.
Yeah, but he
Just
didn't play
saying.
that many snaps. Deion didn't play not even close.
He
to
played
that
both
many
sides of the ball and another sport.
play baseball.
at a different time of year.
No off season.
There's no rest for the wicked.
There you go.
All right, Tez Walker was denied his appeal this week. Do you guys think that the college football playoff, the way it is set up now and structured now, do you think that could be used to break away from the NCAA?
I'm surprised it hasn't.
I think you're already seeing it with the conference realignments.
Correct.
You're seeing more teams go to Power Five and making these big conferences, and eventually it's just going to be one big conference. And basically what you're going to have two commissioners, and the NCAA is going to be cut out of the pot.
I mean, to me, the structure's already there. You guys are saying I'm seeing it with the movement. I don't even think the movement and all the realignment is even necessary. The CFP already has the top 6 bowls. They're already there with them. They have the playoff system. All they need is they have a committee, they have a board, they have a committee. All they need is rules and regulations and guidelines. You put some rules and regulations and guidelines in there, and people who are looking at all that and making sure people are doing what they're supposed to do. You put those two things in place, and the college football playoff has everything that they need to break away. And to me, you don't even need all of this realignment, because the NCAA has nothing to do with the end of college football. The way it ends, they don't have anything to do with the major bowls. They don't have anything to do with the playoffs. They don't have anything to do with it.
I think all it is right now is just lawyering. There you go. Something. Yeah. I think that's what you need right now. I mean, that's all it is, because what you do is if you're gonna break off like that, you're gonna split off and have the Power Five, have their own autonomy. What you're needing now is to figure out the rest. Okay, so if they've split away from the NCAA for football, is it football only or is it everything? Because if it's everything only, because everything, then obviously the NCAA has everything over basketball and some of the other stuff.
You can't include basketball because they run the NCAA tournament.
Well, correct. But if you split off, then you don't necessarily have to compete in that, and then their money goes sideways at that point. You can control it at that point, but you've got to figure out all the contracts and all the what it takes to put everything, like all that stuff together. Because once you split for football, more than likely you're going to be splitting for every other sport. And if you're splitting for every other sport, then you've got to be able to do that. You've got to be able to have the all the contracts and the lawyering stuff. And I think really, in all honesty, that's all it is right now between being there and not being there.
So both of you think it could be fly.
It's bound to happen.
Yeah. All right. My last one, and I want this one to be quick. This is something that's been coming up this week, and Levy and Venables, the coaches, have apologized and all this other stuff. And to me, it's absolutely asinine, really. I just don't get it. So Art Briles was on the sidelines of the Oklahoma game talking to the offensive coordinator, Levy, okay? Levy is his son-in-law. All right? And everybody is making this big fuss about, because why was Art Briles on your sideline? And everybody's making this big fuss about it. And should Coach Venables and Levy have to apologize for this? I think it's asinine.
I think it should be dealt with in private. But I get both sides of it. I get where Art Briles did that with his situation at Baylor, and the situation that Oklahoma does not want him on the sideline.
So he was talking to his son-in-law on the sideline of the games, and there's a problem with that?
That's the issue. This is too touchy subject because of the situation at hand. I know where you want to get this over with, but I get it from both sides of the spectrum at times.
I don't get it. I really don't get it.
I get that, but on the other side,
I don't get what the fuss is. It's not like he was wearing an OU hat and was, had a clipboard in his hand or something.
I get what you're saying. I do. But
I mean,
the world,
I don't get
the world of social media and things now, though, they look at it differently. It's a different world we live in.
But sometimes the world we live in is kind of dumb. And I think that that's kind of dumb.
No, the dumbest thing that happened in this whole situation is Oklahoma's lack of foresight of the whole situation occurring. They should have known when hiring Jeff Levy who his father-in-law was and what might happen. And in that, they should have had something in the writing and in the contract, or have had some form of boundaries set. Because if there's no boundaries set, guess what?
It's a ball game.
Yeah. So that
but you're
I blame
telling me
the university. I blame the university and the athletics director and all that for having lack of foresight. Otherwise,
wait a second. You're telling me
it's
that
his
you
family.
think that it was such that it was that having him walk up on the sideline to talk to his son-in-law would be such an issue that they would have needed to have a whole clause.
I'm telling you that the mention of that person's name will make people have cause for concern. So they should have had something in place prior to. So this whole look, Levy doesn't need to apologize because he doesn't need to apologize. That's not his place. Okay. The university's lack of foresight of knowing that who everybody is, who you're hiring, and who your hiring's son-in-law is. I mean, look, it would be to go get Kendall Browse, okay, at where is it? Arkansas, right? He's the offensive coordinator at Arkansas. So, yes. You know that who his dad is. You know who his dad is. So if he goes and shows up,
that half of the world's going to have an issue with that.
See the optics.
It's him on a football field.
Let me get a word in. Y'all are talking and I can't say a word.
I don't understand it. I really don't.
Here's the thing:
if he showed up with a clipboard and a whistle and a shirt on, and he showed up there, then somebody could say something.
Well, I sure hope he was wearing a shirt.
The issue is the rape case that happened at Baylor is a black eye on that Baylor program.
Yes,
and I get where Oklahoma don't want that around their program. I get that.
I don't know. I don't get it.
But I
really don't get it. I don't get why
it's an issue. That's the grandfather of his children, of his son-in-law. I get that part too.
Exactly. So if he showed up at Arkansas because his son works there, would everybody have an issue with it? If he showed up to a game?
If he showed up on the field, if he were to walk on the field after the game, yes.
I think they're going to have an issue with it everywhere he goes.
Yes.
I don't get it. I think we live in a very messed up world, and I'll just be honest with you. I'm an absolute no-fly on this. I don't even think it should be an issue whatsoever. I mean, we all have stuff in our lives, and I'll be honest with you. I don't like. It would be different to me if he showed up in an Oklahoma shirt and had a cap on and had a clipboard and a whistle in his hand. It would be different. But I can't. It's not, if he's just standing there talking to him on the sideline in regular clothes and he's talking to his son-in-law, I just don't understand how anybody can have an issue with that.
I mean, look, the biggest thing is that they should have had some form of thing, discussed it prior to, because that's it. I mean, I just think it's the lack of foresight. That's it. So I think the university dropped the ball. I think the athletics department dropped the ball. And I think that if Arkansas hasn't figured out something on that already, then I think that they need to figure something out, just because that guy's got the same name,
Exactly.
So that's the difference, is that, he has the name. You probably already have had some form of discussion, hey, Kendall, while you're here, you were at Baylor. Your dad was overseeing a program that had a lot of bad stuff happen. Okay. So while you're here, your dad needs to be distant.
I mean, I kind of get that, okay, from the university. But what I'm talking about is the irritation and the buzz from people and stuff that he was talking to his son-in-law on the sideline in regular clothes, and people have an issue with that. It's not like he was what I'm talking about is that.
Well, I mean, just him on the field in general. I mean, that's what I'm talking about. Him on the field in general. Like, they have to know what the optics are.
Hammond says his laptop died.
No good. But
he says his laptop.
Like I said, I think it's the optics of him on the field in general, not just talking to his son-in-law. Like, look, him talking to his son-in-law, I don't think really matters. It's the fact that he's there. That's the issue that everybody takes. And look, I get it. The guy is.
So do you think Coach Venables should have to apologize for that?
No, I don't think so, because I think maybe the
university does, but
I think that there should have been, again, the issue is the fact that they could not figure this out before he showed up on the field, before they allowed him on the field, because that's the part, or that they didn't know that there was going to be this big of a backlash with him on the field.
Maybe they didn't know that was his father-in-law.
That's bad. That's bad research, man. You don't understand. You're paying a guy millions of dollars to be.
That's a joke, guys.
I know. That would just be terrible.
That's not for real. That was a joke.
But I mean, honestly, like, look, okay, Hugh Freeze did what he did at Ole Miss, right? And then how many teams in the SEC tried to go get him, with after 2 years?
Well, Hammond's just said that Art Browse is not at Arkansas anymore, but he's somewhere. I just don't know exactly where
Kendall Browse. I mean, I don't remember where he's at.
Kendall Browse.
Right, son. But anyway, the whole point is this. Hugh Freeze did what he did, right? Okay. He didn't even oversee, he didn't oversee, a program that did all this, but he did, order.
Yeah, I mean, he did
prostitutes or strippers or whatever it is with the university card. Right. Yeah, so, but still, what he did, and the commissioner of the conference withheld him from coming to any school in the conference for 2 to 3, 4 years after he was eligible to come back after he had started coaching again.
Yeah.
There were several attempts to go get him before Auburn got him.
Right.
And because of the optics of going again, and it's still bad because there was a massive, contingent of the Auburn fan base that didn't want him just because of what he had done at Ole Miss.
I get it, man. I get it. I get the what happened and under his watch and what he allowed, and I mean, I get all of that. Okay,
right.
I get that.
That's the whole point.
That was 10 years ago. Okay, or 8 years ago, or whatever.
Some people just don't forget.
I mean, that was 10 years ago, whatever it was. Okay, I don't know the exact time frame on it, but it's been a while ago, and now he is just standing on a sideline talking some stuff with his son-in-law. And my thing is, like I said, it's not the school. You're right. If the school didn't want that to happen and be there, they should have had something in place to keep that from happening.
Yeah.
But what I'm talking about is I don't understand the mass, the people and the stuff that have an issue. Oh, what's he doing there? And all these.
Well, some of those people are dumb and don't realize that that the guy's there because it's his son-in-law. But the other part is that they don't that again. What we're saying is that the optics of Art Briles being anywhere near a college football field is something that they don't want, or that they don't think should happen.
He actually got hired by somebody. I done forgot who it was.
He was coaching high school for a while.
Yeah, but he got hired, and this was a college, and it didn't last over like a week or two, and he was forced to resign. So,
because the optics, the school at that point didn't go vet.
He says
didn't go vet it.
Kendall is at TCU.
Oh, okay. Okay. So he would have replaced Garrett.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. But anyway.
Hammonds, I see you on, but I'm fixing to wrap this up. So
yeah. So but like I said, it was the optics at that school. I mean, even that school that hired him, I mean, look, Petrino, or not Petrino, why am I going blank on Louisville's old basketball coach, Kentucky's old basketball coach, Pitino, Rick Pitino, that's things, right?
If you ask me, Pitino should not be coaching kids again, not in college. That's my opinion.
So again,
but Bryles ain't there. It's not their coaching. That's what I'm saying.
Okay. So Pitino shouldn't be coaching college kids. But what if Pitino goes and watches his son Richard Pitino coaching, and then goes out onto the court after the game?
Anything you can do about that?
You can say he can't come here.
But I mean, you can't keep him. I mean,
after a game, he can't be in the limelight, in the crowd after a game. He could come into the office afterwards. He could backdoor his way in somewhere, but not behind the bench. No, he can't be sitting where the TV cameras are going to see him. Okay. Put him in a suite somewhere. Put him in a suite.
I don't think he should actually have a job and be coaching kids, but I don't think you can tell him that he can't come to a ball game.
Well, I'm just saying that there should have been something in place. Again, the university is the ones that I go after on this. There should have been something in place that said, hey, we need to have boundaries on what we do.
I got you on that. Okay, I got you on that. All right, guys, we're going to wrap this up. We have kind of done the fuss, so I hope y'all enjoyed the Big Fuss Show. Me and John kind of battled back and forth tonight. That's what it's all about. I wanted to bring that into it and kind of have a little, fuss and a little heat with all this. So it was fun. I appreciate it, and I hope you guys enjoyed it. Our next show is Thursday night. We have a special guest with us on Thursday night. He is going to come on before the show, or come on as the show comes on before our game day pick'ems. He's going to be on for about 20 or 25 minutes only, and it is Jake Crane from Crane and Company that is on the Daily Wire is going to be with us, and he does Jake's takes, and he picked Texas over Bama. And, he's got a great show. He's with his brother, Ben, and David Cohn. David Cohn. Yeah. And I was trying to think of his name. And David Cohn, it's Crane and Company. Be here. It's going to be an awesome show. We're glad that Jake's agreed to be on with us here at College SportsCast. So catch us Thursday night, September 14th at 8 p.m. right here on College SportsCast with Jake Crane.
I'm pretty certain with Jake that I actually met him when he was in high school.
Okay. And then we're going to do our game day pick'ems. So Taylor will be with us, I believe, and John Hammonds will be back. So we'll be doing our game day pick'ems. It'll be a little bit longer of a show because we're doing the interview with Jake and stuff. So I appreciate you guys being with us tonight, and I hope you enjoyed the Big Fuss Show. Y'all have a good night. All right.
Still live.
No, it's not. Is it?
Yes. Don't be selling.